Professor Bride, it's so nice to be here today. I am Frances Duffy. I am one of Kathleen Bride's students from many years ago, and I'm lucky enough to have studied with Miss Bride for many years, and especially considering her relationship with Marcel Grandjany, very long and fruitful relationship as his student, and he was your mentor, yes?
He was, absolutely.
Yeah, he was a very special man from what I hear,
Yep.
from all of his students, including you and Jane Widensall and Anne-Marguerite Michaud and Sarah
Yes.
Bullen, and he had quite a long teaching career and playing career, but his legacy is why we want to talk today. So Professor Bride just completed 36 years of teaching at the Eastman School of Music. And so we're going to start today with some photos of Mr. Grandjany's family and his early life. And for instance, this young lady right here, tell me who that is.
Well, this young lady right here, this little sweetheart, is Emily Boulanger, who was Mr. Grandjany's sister-in-law, eventual sister-in-law. She lived just down the street from the Grandjanys, and she was in their apartment every day because she and her sister went to the market together, just like every good French housewife would do, to buy fresh vegetables and fresh whatever. And next to her is his uncle Lucien Grandjany. And Lucien, this is a picture from 1883. He died very young, which is most unfortunate. He was a professor at the conservatoire, and he was a teacher of Reynaldo Hahn, who was a very famous composer. He was described by Marcel Grandjany, even though Marcel Grandjany did not know him. He had died before Marcel Grandjany was old enough to know better, because he had gathered so much information from Lucien's friends, that he was described as a perfect musician whose memory so influenced so much of my early years. So then another person who was very, very influential in his life is his cousin Juliette. And her name was Juliette Georges, and she was a professor at the conservatoire. She taught harmony and piano accompaniment, and she was a prize winner in these specialties. But she was the one who taught Marcel Grandjany solfège, piano, and harmony. And it was she who conceived the idea of him studying the harp. Now, why she came up with this idea and how much she thought he would excel at the harp, we have no idea. But she did, and it worked out just fine. And in the end, she introduced him to Georgette, his future wife, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, she had a lot of influence.
She had a lot of influence. And this last photograph here are Georgette's parents. I just thought it was very, very interesting to have an old photograph like that. Marcel Grandjany was an only child, and so he didn't have a lot of photographs of his family. His mother died when he was 5 years old, and he had almost no memory of her because he was such a young boy.
So what was it, his father who sent him to Juliette?
Yes, his father sent him to Juliette, and the only thing that Marcel Grandjany remembered about his mother was after her funeral, everyone in the family and friends walked behind the coffin in a procession to the cemetery. And he said that image of her coffin being walked down the road was one that never left him. It was very interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then later on,
we should talk.
Yes,
we should show this one too.
This is Emily's sister, Georgette Grandjany, who, as a teenager, she's all dressed up. She eventually married Grandjany, was introduced by Juliette, and Grandjany toured a lot as his career got going, and so he kept this little leather binder in his suitcase that had two pictures of Georgette in it, a younger picture and a picture after they were married.
She's so pretty.
Yeah, she was very pretty. She was a singer.
That's right.
Yes.
And he wrote some things with some songs.
Yes, and they performed together. But after Bernard was born, their son, she decided it took too much time to prepare the music and to be on stage. And she suffered terribly from nerves. So she abandoned the stage to be a full-time mother to her young son. So this is Bernard, age, he's a baby.
Yeah, probably less than a year.
Yes, I would think
Definitely
less than a year.
6 months, maybe.
He's very serious, as you can see.
Very serious.
And then this, I think, is a very sweet picture. It's Grandjany with Bernard as slightly older. And he looks to be about, this is 1931. So he's only maybe a year to a year and a half snuggling up to his father, which I think is really interesting.
Very cute.
Yeah, very sweet.
He's very cute.
Yep. So that's oh, no. Here we go. We have
a lovely photo of them later on.
Yes, they were obviously either on vacation or visiting friends. You'll notice the hedge in the back. And they used to have friends that they would go visit in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania. And Mr. Grandjany liked to get out of the city whenever he could to just breathe the fresh air and get away from the noise of the city. So I think this is really charming. He's got a suit on, as he always did, and she's all dressed up with a hat. How appropriate for a French woman, yes.
Since you were his student for such a long time, you studied with him for how long?
Well, truly about 13 years. I was a teenager when I started with him, just barely. I was 13. And then I went all through high school and college and graduate school. I went to Juilliard and studied with him. And he just changed my life. He absolutely changed my life.
It seems that he did that for so many people. He said he started teaching almost immediately.
Pretty much so. I mean, he was busy building his career, but I'm going to say the mid part of the 1900s he was teaching. Not in any overt school form, but he was teaching. He started the Fontainebleau class in 1921. 1921. So here is an early photo of some students in a small Fontainebleau class. And Fontainebleau is outside of Paris in the sort of the woody section. It's very beautiful. And this is a photo of his studio at Fontainebleau. It's very turn of the century, I think. You see the harps lined up and the piano, and
looks very Victorian
it looks,
there,
doesn't it?
Very ornate and Victorian.
Yes, absolutely.
And the other thing that's up here on the stand is this interesting receipt for a piano that he purchased. It was 1931?
It was 1931. He purchased this piano from the Erard Company. Now, Erard, we know Erard is a company that makes harps, but they also made pianos and I think violins. So he felt that he needed a piano and bought this piano for 8,500 francs, but I don't know what the franc was at that point in time. So he was a wonderful pianist. He had studied piano at the Conservatoire, and he loved to play. He got up every morning in his older years and played Bach before he went to the harp. He was such a facile pianist. He had memorized the accompaniments to the Debussy dances and the Ravel Introduction and Allegro and the Mozart Concerto and practically anything that harpists can play. He just sat down at the piano and just whipped it off. It was kind of scary. It was so good. If we talk about teaching, he got first prize in harp in 1905. In harp. And in 1909, he got a first prize in harmony and counterpoint. Now, when you got a first prize at the Conservatoire, that meant you were pretty much done with your studies. When you think about it, his harp studies were done at the Conservatoire by the age of 13 for him. And that was in 1904. But he continued to study with Regnier because they were such good friends. Regnier truly believed in him. She was the person who rescued him when he was a tiny child. He was about 8 years old when he went to the Conservatoire. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing.
Yeah, she was pretty amazing. He was studying with Hasselmans, And Hasselmann's was a very large man, very imposing, very scary to this tiny little 8-year-old. And Grandjany was just this terribly timid little child. So they had a few discussions at the conservatoire and decided that he would switch teachers, which was not done in those days, not like today. He would switch teachers and he would study with Renier. And that was a marriage made in heaven for his teaching. So she was quite something.
Yeah,
she was
she
very,
is.
very influential in his life. He would take the train to Montreal from New York City on Monday afternoon. It was a sleeper train. He would get up the next morning, get off the train, go to the conservatoire and teach his lessons, and then he would come back usually Wednesday. And that was every single week for at least 10 years, but I think it was 20 years.